Good morning again, and welcome to the second session of this year's Next Great Leader. I'm honored to welcome to this stage one of Ghana's finest statesmen. I went to university because Dr. Otabil decided to set up the Central University College. I was seeking knowledge. I wanted to know God more, so I enrolled in a Central Christian College just around the time when it was going to become a university. So myself, Pastor Josh here, and a few guys became the founding students of the Central University College. Please help me welcome our own Dr. Mensa Otabil. God bless you, sir. Please, you may be seated. Doc, welcome to the Next Great Leader 2.0. We are grateful that you made time to be here today. The theme for this year is wisdom at the helm of affairs. Wisdom at the helm of affairs. I want to begin our conversation with a scripture. Proverbs 24, on the verses 3 and 4 from the New International Version. By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it's established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with real and beautiful treasures. So wisdom builds. What is the relationship between wisdom, understanding, and knowledge? And how do they contribute to building your dreams, your vision, organizations, etc., and in your own personal experiences you built? One of the finest churches in the world is the ICGC, the Central University, which is your initiative, is one of the top universities across Africa. We want to learn from you how a combination of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge build.
Well, thank you very much, and wonderful place you have here.
Thank you.
Every building process requires a certain level of foresight. Jesus says if you're going to build something, you have to think of it. You have to have an idea what you have to build. And so builders require, people normally say vision, but it is the ability to imagine what you want to do. But being able to imagine it is one step. The thing is whether you have the skill to do it, and the skill will be more technical. So that there is a level where you have an idea, but there is another level where your competence and technical ability must match the idea. And if the technical competence doesn't match the idea, it just remains a dream. And even after you've utilized technical competence either of yours or borrowed from others, you have to have the ability to sustain what has been built and to grow it to the extent that you want it to be grown. So there are phases of wisdom, of knowledge, of understanding that go through every project, whether it's building a church or university as you've done, or a business as most people do.
So what is the difference between wisdom, knowledge, and understanding?
Wisdom comes from the root of having an idea, or let's say a skill to do something. But having the skill to do it is one thing. People have skill to play football. They have skill to draw. They have skill to argue a case. They have the wisdom, but they need understanding. They need a deeper component, and that's where the technical competence comes in. So I think the differentiation is very important, and we see it in all levels. When somebody's, we've seen great footballers in Ghana. In Ghana, everybody's a great footballer because we all play football, gutter to gutter. We learn to play it, we develop skills, people love it in the neighborhood. But to be able to play at a bigger level, there's a certain conceptual development in your mind that must happen. And that's, you must have a deeper understanding of what you're doing. So the talent and the technical skill create the differentiation between wisdom and understanding.
Amazing. So wisdom is the skill, the talent.
Yes.
It could be natural.
It could be natural. And most times, I mean, when we say something is a natural skill, it can come naturally in different ways. It can come naturally because you were born with it. And so you have a natural aptitude towards it. But it can come naturally also because you are in the environment. If all your brothers are playing football, you become a good footballer. And so although it's not a technical skill, it's a natural skill that is influenced by environment. This place you grew up in influences natural talent. So very often people discover things they are able to do. Some they're able to do because they have a natural aptitude for it. Some it's because of the associations they had very early in life and the kinds of influences they have. But all of that is at the natural level. It's at the talent level. It's something most people have. But to really add value to it, there has to be a deeper understanding of it. I mean, that's why you go to school. You go to school not just to learn, but also to sharpen your initial talent base. And you need that understanding to complement your wisdom.
So that this natural wisdom, natural ability, move you towards a certain career path?
It may, when I was younger, I had more set views about these things. As I've grown older and observed better, I feel that sometimes people lock themselves in too early in life. I think our educational system itself is like that. Pretty soon, they're trying to box you that you're a science student, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that. And sometimes it's too early to determine where your skill should be deployed, because your skill is going to be deployed also in the midst of a space. There are certain skills that if you have in Ghana, you will not prosper. You will not prosper. You won't do well. And it's not that you don't have the skill, but the Ghanaian community, the market forces are not appreciative of that skill. So people have and develop talents. For example, if you have dancing skill or dancing talent, and you go to university and you learn ballet dancing and all of that, you'll be advised not to operate in Ghana. Because there's no market value for it. Whereas if you were in Italy or you were in France, there will be probably market value for it. Now, if you decide, okay, I still want to stay in Ghana with this talent I have because I believe I have a calling, I believe this is what I want to use my life for, then you have to see yourself as a pioneer. And if you're a pioneer, your work goes beyond your talent. Your work now includes building the infrastructure for your talent. So you are now going to construct the mental aptitude, the appreciation. You're going to do advocacy for the talent so that you, who is at one point a practitioner, is also the advocate for your talent in order to create the market for it. If you don't have that aptitude to do that, then it's better you look for somewhere else where your talent will be appreciated, or do something else with the skills you have.
Amazing. So, I am in conversation with our own Dr. Mensa Otabil. We're discussing wisdom at the hem of affair, and so far, so good. So, Doc, what are the key competencies? So, I want to go back to pioneering things. You have an idea, like you have explained, but your environment, probably you might be the first person that wants to push that. There might be challenges to that. Do we have an example within? I know your contemporaries and yourself pioneered movements like the charismatic movement that were quite new at the time. You were called different names. People didn't give you guys the chance to be where you are. But I believe the same skills, the same hunger, the same drive with which you guys pioneered the charismatic movement could be the same to pioneer other things. So in your personal life, being a pioneer, for instance, in private university sector, Central is something you pioneered from the beginning. I mean, between Central and I think Valley View. Key first private universities. When we move into the charismatic sector, then you are the first person to pioneer a university. What were the challenges that you faced, and what are the competencies that you thought were very useful for you as a pioneer?
Well, in the first place, and that's part of what I was talking about, where the nation itself cannot conceptualize a private university because universities were state-operated entities. So if you want to start a private university, you can assemble a team. That's the least of your job. If you're pioneering it, it means that the space for you to operate in doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, then you have to have other activities you are embarking on. In our case, we had to have a lot of advocacy, working with, at that time, NITE's GTech Accreditation Board, working with Ministry of Education, even trying to convince state actors that it is possible for a private university. And still, you know, the country, our nation doesn't understand the concept of private in the university or in anything, because Ghana is a state-run entity. The state does everything. The state solves every problem. And so the state doesn't give space for private people to function at all levels. And that's why businesses struggle in Ghana, because fortunately or unfortunately, our first prime minister and president, Kwame Nkrumah, decided to philosophically build Ghana as a state-run entity. And we haven't been able to break away from it. So anybody who wants to do anything private in Ghana comes against a lot of resistance. Whereas if you go to other countries which started as a private sector driven entity, setting up businesses, operating them, is facilitated by the general environment it operates in. So if you're going to do anything that is pioneering, the path, you have to clear it. You know, I sometimes liken it to if you are going upstairs, like the people who go upstairs on this building. They came to meet a staircase.
Yeah.
The staircase was there because you were here to build the staircase. But if they wanted to go upstairs and they were first to go upstairs, then they have to build the staircase in order to propel themselves upstairs. And that's what it takes to pioneer. You have to build the staircase that takes you to where you are. Whereas in other countries, the staircase has been built and you just learn to use it. Pioneering anything in Ghana and in most African countries, whether it's church or anything else, requires the ability to build infrastructure to support what you're doing.
Amazing. So, 2 questions from this. The first one is where you spoke about how we sometimes trade jacket people and tell them, this is your skill, focus on it, develop it, even though if it doesn't work in the environment, the person. Are people not multi-skilled? And if people are multi-skilled, when I started the African Center for Leadership and Human Resource Development, I said to people the same thing. I felt I am multi-skilled, but I needed to do the easiest one first, the one that the environment will accept for me to move on first. Is it a case that people really don't have that mental capacity, courage to say, well, this is what I want to do, but alternatively, let me do this whilst I wait for the opportunity to do this other one?
Well, people are multi-skilled, and it's always a hazard to be multi-skilled. And life is easier when you don't have many skills. Life is very complicated when you have a lot of skills, because then you have to make a choice as to which skill you're going to work with. When you have limited skills, you have no choice but to focus on what you have. And so my observation is that a lot of people who are multi-skilled go through life sometimes not able to settle on what to do. But we can see them as extremely talented, because multi-skilled is not a blessing from my point of view. It's not a blessing. Only a few people are able to manage it. Most people focus on one thing, but create adjacencies. You are an educator. Everything you have done is in education. Even when you are pastoring, it's education. When you're doing university, whether you're doing Center for Human Resources, everything you're doing is built on your skill to train, to communicate, because that's your primary skill. It's communication. Underneath it, there's an entrepreneurial skill that helps you to deploy your primary skill, that is education. Now, if in addition to that, you are a musician and you are an artist, and you could do so many things, your life would not be a very happy one. You would realize at a point you don't know what to do, because everything you touch, you can do it. But you chose education and you're driving it entrepreneurially. I am an educator. Everything I do is about teaching, is about training, is about instruction, is about imparting knowledge. Everything I do is around that. And of course, underneath that is an entrepreneurial ability to drive the training. And I can't do anything else. I am a very limited person. I am not extremely talented at all. I realized very early in life that I have one talent. I don't have 5. I have 1. And I can't hide it. So I take that one talent and I multiply it.
So we are talking to a global statesman who has one talent. Amazing. Okay, so you can participate in this. Start getting your questions ready. very soon. Microphones will be made available. Audiovisual, let's get ready, get microphones available for the audience to be able to ask Dr. Mensa Otabil their questions. And also, those watching us on social media, understand we are live on Joy Prime TV. Am I right? We are live on Joy Prime TV. We are live on various social media platforms. Audiovisual, please ensure that questions on social media, Cassandra can put them together and can act on behalf of the audience, our social media audience. Or if you can bring it on the screen, I will ask the question. So, Doc, let's go back to the issue of staircase. Very insightful idea where people came here and they could go up because staircases were already built. And others who would have come here with that staircase would have to build that staircase themselves to be able to climb up. Not everybody has the capacity and the resources to be able to build staircase to climb up. So they will have to climb on others people's staircase. So it brings us to the issue of opportunities and mentorship. How do people assess other people's staircase? What are the processes? What are the wisdom keys to do that?
I think the majority of human beings, not only in Ghana, but all over the world, would find fulfillment working with somebody, for somebody, under somebody. It is the easiest way to find fulfillment in life. Human ego may tell you, why should I be under? But not everybody can do the heavy lifting and stay the mental focused on a path to get things done. Not everybody can do that. And not everybody is born at the prime time for something to happen, because most things happen within certain time frames, and when you miss that time frame, it's difficult for you to do it. So most people will have to learn how to work with people and how to work in established organizations and how to give of their best and how to find fulfillment in doing that. If everybody feels that they have to set up their own, we're going to create a lot of frustrated people. We're going to get people who are successful short term but can't sustain it. So I think one of the biggest skills that people must develop, and especially in this part of the world, is how to learn and find fulfillment being part of something that is not yours. It is a critical, it's an emotional thing, because all of us want to own something. And sometimes in owning, you destroy yourself because you don't have all the range of skills. And probably you were not born at the right time. I mean, if you look at all the major industries, if you take the computer industry, the first generation of computer people, they were all born within the same time. You know, whether it's Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, and all the others, Linux, and all of them were born in the same. If you look at the second generation of the Google and Yahoo and Facebook, it all occurs in a certain era. If you start outside of that era, it's so difficult for you to have the foothold to go and do it. You know, only a few people born out of season. Like the Apostle Paul described himself, out of season, and yet becomes prominent. Only a few people born outside of a prime time when something is happening end up doing very well. So there's so many factors people have to consider. And sometimes there's a first season and then there's a second season of the same thing. And you have to really read the times well to know whether this is the time for me to start or this is a time for me to belong to something that has already been started?
A few years ago, I was going to do a presentation similar to the argument you have made. So I did a research on some of the world's topmost CEOs and discovered that most of them were actually not founders of the companies they were leading. And so I'm looking at the world top earners, and people were CEOs of other people's companies and were earning a lot more than the others. It looks like within our cultural system, these things, people feel like I am not satisfied with the title of a prince. I want to be my own king and try to create my own kingdom. And they end up crashing. Is it a cultural thing? How?
It's both backwards and forwards. And by that I mean that the people at the front being able to create a sense of belonging for people. So, yes, you can say it's cultural, where we tend to be very controlling over what we have. I mean, look at even when people have government position, which is not theirs. You know, they didn't create it. The government was there, ministry was there, and you are appointed. And all of a sudden, they have a certain territorial control, as if they will be there forever, and then they are not there. So you realize that. So if we apply that to government, can you imagine when it's your own business?
That's right.
You know, we tend to be very protective because I think that our culture has a certain distrust of outsiders, you know, and so for everything we do, we always want to hold on to ourselves and a few people close to us. So I think for those of us who lead movements, the critical skill we need to develop is the ability to open up and let those who are in our systems feel that they have a future in the system and there's a sense of belonging there, and that they can work there for the rest of their lives and be fulfilled, although they didn't start it. That is at the front end. And at the back end, those who are also belonging to things must learn to not to undermine what they belong to. I think there's a culture of undermining. You know, I tell people, you go to a shop and the shopkeeper is criticizing the shop owner. And can even tell you, oh, there's another place here, you get something better. You know, and they forget that this is the place I'm supposed to build because my salary, and still they're complaining they don't take good care of us, but then they're also not taking good care of the business. So it's both a backwards and a forward thing. Those who are part of systems must be loyal. You know, one of the things I noticed when I went to the US the first times is the way people talk about what they belong to. You know, people talk, if it's a company or a church, you would almost never hear anybody criticizing the system they are part of. They're so enthusiastic. They find a sense of pride, a sense of honor for what they belong to. And you find it in a lot of developed economies that people have a sense of pride. If they work for a factory, they are proud of what it produces. They understand the systems. They know the history. They are proud of their leadership, and so on and so forth. Here, you rarely find people who are proud of where they belong. We almost quarrel with what we belong to, and we're constantly trying to push it away. So at the front, we must create opportunity. At the back, we must learn to support the things that we belong to.
Amazing. And Doc, you are not just saying this, you are practicing it because I have a lot of ICGC pastors who are my friends because I came to Central University, and I remember one telling me I don't see why I should leave ICGC, because I'm here as if the church belongs to me. If I don't invite the Otabil, he's not coming here. I'm making decisions. He says, I find fulfillment as if I'm a founder of the church. And I thought that was quite remarkable. It takes a lot of confidence to do that, isn't it?
Well, I am always persuaded by longevity. I am always thinking of something lasting. And right from the beginning of my ministry, I was always thinking of longevity. How do I create something that outlives me and that lasts? You know, if I consider that Christianity is over 2,000 years, you know. So you build a church, it's not for your lifetime, you have to think of 2,000 years. How can people belong to something and be part of it for generations and feel a sense of belonging? So you create a culture for it. We've created the same culture at the Central University. I mean, we've had succession of leaders and people work there. It's their life work, it's their endeavor. That's the front. I think I must say, for the pastors of the pastors you talk to, they have the back attitude that I'm part of something. I don't undermine it. I see that it works. I ensure that it succeeds, because in its success I am being successful. So it's a backwards and forward activity.
Amazing conversation with Dr. Mensa Otabil. Now it's your turn to ask your questions, and I'm sure the team. Okay, Cassandra, you're asking questions from
Facebook.
From Facebook, and then if we're here, you also want to ask questions when Cassandra finishes. What are the provisions for them? So some come here and some will come here. Okay.
So from Facebook, we have Wena Jonathan, who's asking, how can one develop a particular skill and gain mastery over it?
So how can one develop a particular skill and gain mastery over it?
Of course, you have to have the aptitude for it. And when we say you have aptitude, it means that your mental framework favors that. I mean, if you don't have the framework for music, you know, you can't do anything about it. You can't sing in tune, you can't identify a tune.
Like I tried to sing in the choir and the choir leader dismissed me.
Yeah, you make a joyful noise to the Lord. So first you have to have the mental aptitude for it. But you have to have sometimes formal training for it. You go to school and you focus on that skill. But you also need apprenticeship for it. What we call mentoring, coaching, however we call it. You have to be sometimes in a place working under somebody who understands that process and holds your hand through the process. So there is the skill, natural, there is formal training, there is the ongoing informal apprenticeship that you need to do that. But apart from that, your own application of what you are learning to real life situations. Skills are developed in the context of problem solving. You cannot develop a skill when you are not integrating the skill to a problem that you must solve. So if you avoid problems, you avoid assignments, you avoid challenges, your skills will never be developed. You would have a certain level, but it would not really manifest at a big level.
The second question, thank you very much for that answer. The second question is from Nene Eric Asamamle Cleme, who's asking if you've ever failed before and how did you handle the failure?
Can you say that again? Take your time and ask it then.
Okay. So I'll take that again. He's asking if you have ever failed before And if you have, how did you handle the failure?
I think I have failed before. I think so. I don't think in boxes. Oh, this is a failure. This is a success. It's life. You are doing life. You are living your life. And sometimes in a day or in a week, there are things you try that don't work. I mean, everybody tries something, it doesn't work. You want to do this, it doesn't work. So it's not like one big failure or one big success. So I don't think in those categories like this is a failure and that's a success. It's you're doing life, you meet roadblocks, you find a way to negotiate them, you find setbacks and you learn how to avoid things and so on and so forth. So let's not box our lives into success and failure. I think when this either or, it's not a good way of mental conditioning. You live in life, you are alive every day, you go to work every day, you work every week, you work every year. Some things will work, some things don't work. You learn from them and you keep pushing on. So that should be the way we approach it.
Thank you very much. I'll take 2 more questions from Facebook and then we'll move to our audience in here. How do you manage yourself? And this question is from Vivian Della Atuwo Ampo from Facebook. How do you manage yourself if you are multi-talented? Should you just focus on only one and neglect all the other talents?
My answer may not be very palatable, but it's a question I've thought about for years. You have to let somebody control your life. When you are multi-talented, you have to bring your life under a certain order and control. Either you work in a place and you allow the system to mold you, or you work under a leader and you allow the leader to prioritize your life. Because if you don't do that, your natural aptitude will find it very difficult to prioritize. It's a counterintuitive thing. It doesn't seem to be the normal thing you should do, but sometimes the greatest help people need in life is to work under somebody who doesn't give them space. Because when they have space, they mess up too much. So sometimes all you need is to work in an organization and learn the organizational culture and the discipline, follow the rules, and commit to it. And what happens is over time, of all your multi-skill, you find one emerging as a predominant, which then becomes something you can really focus on. And at that time, you may not need somebody else to guide you because now you have discovered your primary skill.
Thank you. So my final question before we move to our audience waiting. Can someone be, this is from Johnson Boache, who wants to know, can someone be a skillful preacher?
Skillful preacher?
Yes.
We must all be skillful preachers. I used to tell my congregation that I don't preach any bad sermon ever again. There was a time I used to preach bad sermons. I don't. Every message I preach is skillfully developed and thoughtfully considered and masterfully executed. Because, I don't think anybody wants a pastor who preaches and comes next week and say, by the way, last week I said this, I think it was a mistake. I went to research again, I think I made a mistake. If every Sunday the pastor is correcting himself, then it makes his work a bit difficult. The same way with, you don't want to go to a doctor who operates you and says, I think I cut the wrong organ. Or the engineer who builds your house says, I don't think I use the right iron rods. Everything we do, we must aim at masterful, skillful execution of it, where there is zero tolerance for error and for mistakes, including preaching.
Amazing. We are still in conversation with Dr. Mensa Otabil. It is now your turn to talk to Dr. Mensa Otabil. So we have a group of 5 here, a group of 5 at the top. So those of you who are here, can you just come here, stay here? So you ask here, then we go here, then we come here. Okay? So only one question, and you should make sure it is a short one. Don't give history before you ask.
I'm Yenti Garba. I'm coming from Northeast region.
From where?
Northeast region.
Northeast. Okay.
In fact,
Did you come because of this conference?
yes, please.
Amazing.
First of all, I want to ask that we give a hand of applause to the great doctors and man of God, Dr. Otabil.
Yes, Phil.
I started following Dr. Otabil message, his morning show since 2008. I was a Muslim. And I became so fascinated at his messages, and eventually I became a Christian in 2013. In fact, it's a great opportunity to meet the man that I've been listening to since 2008 to date. Yes. My question is about the multi-skilled issue. Multi-skilled. In fact, the great man of God said, multi-skilled is not the best for us. But I want to make a reference to our educational institutions in Ghana here. We have an educational system that is multifaceted.
What is your question?
My question is the multi-skilled. And I'm looking at our educational system today, where we are asked to study about 7, 8 subjects. And when you fail maths, you are denied admission to go and do an expert or a specialized area that you are good at, but because of maths, you are denied, or because of science, you are denied, or because of English, you are denied.
Thank you. We
so
understand you.
I am saying that what we are told today, we should be able to have a conversation so that our educational institutions should look at what
Thank you. Thank you.
About.
I think mass has done him bad.
He's asked a very, very important question. First of all, skill is not a course. That we have to get that. Skill is not a course we take in class or in school. But I think the core of his question is how the educational system can deny people from specialization based on a prerequisite that has very little to do with their specialization. So somebody wants to go and study art, but failed mathematics. Does that have anything to do with his art? Of course not. At a certain level, education wants to be sure that you are intelligent, that your brain is working. That's all we do basically from kindergarten to first degree university. All that you study from kindergarten, first degree university is to determine that you know how to think. It is after you know how to think that you can master in something. That's why the next is called a master's degree. My general feeling is there should be a multiple approach to that, so people are not locked in the general education process. Because if we lock people in the general education process, then people are forced into areas they have no desire to get into. So if somebody fails mathematics, and we think that we're using mathematics to determine whether the person has general quantitative aptitude, can't we find another way to assess that? Shouldn't there be other ways to assess that? And I think there should be other ways to assess that. And sometimes it may not even be through a test in that sense. Sometimes it may be through some other form of assessment. And there are several assessment tools that can be used. I feel strongly that we are destroying a lot of people's future because we are demanding prerequisites that have nothing to do with what they want to do. Of course, if the person wants to be an engineer, he has to pass mathematics and physics and so on. But if I want to be an artist, what do I need mathematics for? Of course, I need it for straight lines. So just teach me, know how to do geometry and straight lines, and that's it. That's about all I need to do, and go and do my. So I think that something should be done about creating other pathways so people don't get locked up. And if the academic work is locking them up, we should open other paths for them to pursue in order to get to where they want to get to.
Hello? Thank you. Osofo, please, I have a very simple question regarding government and governance on behalf of the people. Many times, Bishop Titiofe cited examples that Africa do not have resource problem. We have leadership crisis. And I happen to serve in government, and I've experienced something. Last year, the National Development Planning Commission launched what we call the National Long-Term Plan, the Ghana Vision 2057, the Ghana we want, the Ghana we want to see. And fast forward, the man who led that initiative passed on July 1. Meanwhile, the initiative was launched, that was 28th May 2024 last year. We happen to have a lot of conversations in the government right now because there has been change of government, and we engaged one minister. Then we presented a project to him. The project's supposed to take 15 years to plan and execute. He said no. By 2027, we will be out of government. 2028, we will be out of government. So we are now forced to bring the project to end at 2026 so that his administration would take the glory and the legacy. I want to seek your indulgence to teach us how we will be able to deal with people who make decisions on behalf of populations and the lives of the people. You mentioned you must have foresight. So where does wisdom come in, deciding on behalf of the 34 million Ghanaian population in the next 40, 50 years? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know that any question on government is a touchy one. I think a vision of the nation, let me rephrase, the long-term vision of a nation should not be in the hands of politicians. It should be in the hands of civil servants who are the long-term people. So if we want to look at how Ghana's finances should be, it shouldn't be based on NPP or NDC or who is the Minister of Finance at the time. It should be driven by the Ministry of Finance. And we should build a civil service that is beyond politics, and a civil service that runs and maintains the state so much so that you can take all the politicians out and the system will work. Because the civil service is like the engine that runs the nation. It is the machine. And if you go to almost any nation that has done well, you find that civil and public service is the most structured, most enduring system that keeps things going. As for the politicians, they will tell us fanciful things every 4 years. But there has to be something that endures. And so I don't think it comes from the politicians. A politician comes and within a certain period tries to achieve something within what the nation wants. But if we have a strong civil service, because every minister of state works in a ministry and works with their civil servants, and if the civil service is strong, they should be able to tell the minister, this is not where the country is going. These are the programs we've been following for the last 20 years. You can't come and upset it. This is what we need to achieve, and so on and so forth. If the civil service doesn't become strong, Ghana has no future. Our future is in a well-structured public service that runs as the engine of state at the bottom, and not other politicians who are at the top. That would be my answer to that.
Thank you. So over here, let's let the lady ask first. Ladies first. Let's not keep her standing for a long time. So,
thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be part of, Bishop, thank you for the invitation. So honored to be part of this insightful summit. My name is, I'm Dr. Rita Usu Amankwa. I have 2 questions. One is, honestly, I'm inspired by your reflections on legacy, sustainability, and generational impact. And so I have 2 questions around that. One question is, what indicators do you personally use to assess whether a movement or an institution you have built is truly sustainable without you? That's the first question. The second question is, what's your biggest concern for the next generation of leaders, and what gives you hope that things will be okay for Ghana? Okay. Thank you very much.
I don't want to solve Ghana's problems. I used to think I could change the world. Now I realize I can't. I just change the organizations I work with. I tend to be very intentional about almost everything. About what I wear, what I say, how I look. I always tend to be very purposeful about it. And so, because I've always thought of longevity, I built the 2 major institutions that I have been responsible for, that is the International Central Gospel Church and Central University. Have these principles infused there. Those who are in ICGC would know that in the last probably 15 or 20 or 15 years, I have been very distant from the church and developed systems for decision making. So I don't really make decisions in the church. We have committees that deliberate and things work through a system and they get passed. By the time a decision is made, almost every pastor or every stakeholder knows what is being discussed, how the decision has been arrived at. And so adoption is always easy because I don't come and say, the Lord told me, I saw a vision, I used to say that when I was young at the beginning. This is my mandate from God. This is what God told me. But that language doesn't occur now. It is, what do we want to do? What system? Something needs to be done. Let this committee give us a report or a paper. Let it be presented. Let's deliberate it, and so on and so forth. So I don't interject myself in the process. I allow the process to work. And that's how our church is run. And that's how our university is run. I used to be very active in the university, directly leading it. And then I started pulling back till now I only give certificates when people are graduating. Of course, I understand that I have a moral authority there and people value my insight and would sometimes want to know my thinking. And if I feel very strongly about something, I would not go outside of the system. I have to use the same process we have set to introduce my idea. I set up systems. I don't undermine what I've set up. I become a slave to my own system and the structures that works out. So, and this is intentional to ensure that my personality, although it is large on the national scale, people see me as very large, but internally, it's not that pervasive. I'm quite removed from so many things, and it's intentional. And several things I decide not to do, I decide not to participate in, and just let things run. And people develop the capacity to think, to reason, to make rules, to set up agendas, and so on and so forth. Even when I chair committees and members of my presidency will say, I would, most times, sometimes the day before I would say, I have a program and let so-and-so chair it, because I want people to learn how to chair meetings and run meetings and so on and so forth, and just developing the general capacity of the leaders to do what I do, so that we can have people operating at that level and making those decisions. So how do I know that it is working? In the university, I think it's working. We've had 4 vice chancellors. Our current vice chancellor is ending his term of office, and a new vice chancellor has already been selected. We do search 6 months ahead of time. We select, and we will inaugurate a new vice chancellor. He comes with his vision for the university, and runs his vision. It's not my vision any longer. It's a new vice chancellor, what he wants to do, how he wants to take the university. I meet with the vice chancellor about twice in a month, basically for briefing, to let me know this is what I'm doing, and I just say yes, and that's it. I just for me to be informed, because people will ask me questions and I have to know what's going on, but I don't meet him to tell him what to do. I don't do that. I've stopped. I don't remember the last time I told somebody this is what you have to do. I just listen. This is what you want to do. You are very sure of it. You have the team for it. Okay, go and do it. It's on your head. If it doesn't work, you are the one to blame. So I think at the university I'm very sure that my person is not needed. In the church, of course, I'm still in the seat, so we have to see how it works out. But I think we have a very effective system that has been crafted over the years, and I think it will work.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to ask a question, and the question is, how can the church assist members to understand the principle of finding fulfillment in what is others? In a world where most people would want to be leaders, especially when they see you in a particular space for a long time, and they see you as a failure because maybe you have not moved on to establish something else. So the responsibility of the church in this fulfillment that you talked about. Thank you very much.
I think we just have to keep talking about it, and we have to encourage people to be loyal to and faithful to the places they work. Anybody who pays your salary is somebody you must pray for the rest of your life. Because it's not easy to work and be paid. The pay may not be all that you need, but the fact that somebody ensures that within a certain routine you get remunerated for your work, that's a very heavy responsibility. And when you start working on your own, you realize it's a very tough thing. We have to learn to appreciate people who help us, people who give us a job, people who create a business for us to work in, people who build things that we can participate in. And when you have the privilege of working for somebody or participating in something that is not yours, you have to show honor to the person who made it possible for you. Because it's a huge burden taken off your shoulder that person is carrying. And that's something we have to teach often.
All right. My name is Godswe Tekpo, and I want to understand the role of mentorship and reading in implementation, because sometimes you read
mentorship and what?
And reading.
Reading.
Yeah, they are distinctive roles. Because sometimes you read and implementation is sometimes contextual. So how do you get to know the context in which to apply what you have read? Yeah, thank you.
I mean, all of us have people who have mentored us from when we were children, your father, your mother, your senior brothers and sisters. You know, sometimes mentoring is not getting a big name person to guide you. Sometimes mentoring is just somebody who is senior, who gives ear to you, and who helps you to think through things. And they may not be specialists in the field, but they can sort of help you to make up your mind. Once in a while, you are privileged to find somebody who is doing what you're doing and is way ahead of you. It's not, you don't always find that. You know, when I started pastoring, I didn't find that. I didn't find anybody like that to guide and to mentor me, because sometimes it's not easy to find such a person. And sometimes you may find somebody who may, instead of helping you, actually destroy you. So you have to be very careful. I believe in mentors, but we shouldn't be obsessed with them. I think find all the help you can. And if you find somebody like Bishop Titi Ofe here, an extraordinary gentleman who has done all these amazing things and is on the cutting edge, and you have the time to talk to him, or he spends some time with you, take advantage of it. But how many people are going to find him? How many people are going to find me? You are not always going to find a mentor. So take your aunt, take your big sister, take your good friend, take somebody who helps you sharpen your ideas, helps you refine your thinking, helps you to improve on what you want to do, asks you difficult questions, and helps you to think again. And all of these people play roles in our lives. But if God blesses you with a special one who knows what you are doing and knows how to hold your hand, then thank God for them and let them play that role. But generally, I feel we shouldn't obsess with mentors.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Amakodoms from Aguna Swedru. I would like to know some of the attitude you need to embrace as you are about pioneering a business or an entity. Thank you.
The The first thing is you have to be sacrificial. If you start pioneering something, you're going to be the last person to benefit from it. When we started Central University, Bishop, we wanted very good people to lead it. And so, of course, if you want good people, you're going to get professors and from other universities and so on and so forth. And so we started trying to recruit good people. Wanted a vice chancellor who would be a good vice chancellor, not somebody who comes, you give him the title, doesn't know what he's doing. And so I realized that their salary expectations were very hefty. And so, we had a lot of discussion, and I said, so is that how much these people, and they say, yeah, this is a salary. And the vice chancellor of Central University earns more than me. Because that is the price you pay to get the quality you want. Because if you want to pioneer something, and all you want is to enjoy yourself, you may realize that you wouldn't get the quality. So sometimes, even to employ the staff to give you the quality for your quality company to grow to the level where you can make money, you would have to sacrifice. So if you don't have a heart to sacrifice, don't start anything. Go and work somewhere. If you want to pioneer anything, you're going to be the last person to benefit from it. You are the last person to reap the fruit, because you're going to use all your resources to build your staff, to build the enterprise, to build structures, to build buildings. Look at what Bishop Tichofe is doing. He's building all these buildings and buying properties here in Spinkters Road, knocking them down, building, and every time knocking people's buildings down, and building them. I mean, have you ever stopped to think how much it takes to buy one piece of plot of land on Spinkters Road, knock it down, and build? That's sacrifice. But most of us want salary. We want quick money. If you want quick money, don't start anything. Work somewhere, get paid, enjoy your life. If you're going to start, the number one requirement, especially if you're going to build something that is long-lasting, if you have longevity in mind, you're going to sacrifice for a very, very long time. That's my answer.
Thank you very much. My name is Pastor Makofi. Doc, please, I want to know, what wisdom keys do you need as a pathfinder, somebody who wants to pioneer something? Because when you look at our society, at times when you try doing something which is not being done, you have the capacity, quote unquote, you'll be labeled as a rebel, somebody who is trying to fight against the system. So what are some of the wisdom you need to use to navigate in such a system as a pathfinder? Thank you.
It looks like most of you want to be pioneers. I can only tell you what I know and what I practice. First of all, I don't take a lot of things too seriously. So whether you're giving me a title, is a rebel, whatever, it's not even a hard thing for me. I feel it's normal. Everybody is going this way. You want to go that way. You want them to say you are a nice person. They will say you are crazy. You don't think. You are a rebel. Look at you. You will fail. Why? because it comes with the terrain. Why didn't you follow the path and you are turning? And now if they give you the names appropriate for people who turn from the path, why should that bother you? that is life. C'est la vie. That is life, Handle it and go on and move on. Get on with your life.
Amazing conversation with Dr. Mensa Otabil. A few more questions, so I think it's your turn now. And then we come here. We'll do a few rounds and then we'll be getting ready to close. Yeah.
Thank you for this privilege. My question is, I know that to be a leader, you have to have certain mindset. But when you lack the financial resources to lead yourself, how are you supposed to have the kind of mindset that will help you to be able to lead yourself and lead your business to a point where you can actually make profit and employ others? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. There is rarely anybody who started a business, started anything, and had money. Rare. It happens, but very, very rare. Most people who start anything start with a big dream, and even if they have money, it is not to the measure of their dream. The dream is always bigger than the money. So the dream creates the money. So not having money is normal. You are in good company with the whole of the entrepreneurial group. So she asked, how do you lead yourself? I suppose if money becomes your first and the strongest inspirer, then you can't lead yourself because you don't have money. However, if your vision is your inspirer, your dream is your inspirer, then even when you are broke, you can get up and go to work and try to achieve something. Most things we pioneer would take about 4 to 5 years before they are capable to sustain you financially. Most things would take about 4 to 5 years before you can even draw a decent salary from it. In the process when you are developing it, you have to have a mental tenacity to keep doing what you are doing, even though it doesn't benefit you financially. I think what should drive you is that what you're doing, although it's not giving you financial benefit, it is creating a kind of a value that people appreciate and that people commit to and people benefit from and people are ready to pay for. Even if what they are paying is not enough to give you a salary, I think that should be your satisfaction. It's going to take you about 4 to 5 years before you can even draw a salary from the company you have established. And you have to have the mental discipline to go through that. And that's why I say, and for me, listening to a lot of the questions here, I feel people are trying to be on their own who shouldn't be on their own. They should find somewhere to fix themselves and contribute productively to. Because it's a hard road. It's a hard road. Anybody who start a business will tell you, you work extra harder being an entrepreneur than working in a company for somebody else.
Thank you very much. My name is Ahmed Usman Khalid Imam Zakaria from Nima. And I think...
From where? Nima?
Nima. I think when I was schooling at Nima 2 Primary, those days I was told that Dr. Mensa Otabil used to be, an ardent believer in Nima. I don't know how true it is. Then later I got to know that his church, ICGC, started at Kanda, one of the clusters of schools.
I used to live in Nima, yes.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So, I'm proud of you, sir. Yes, I am a Muslim and a practicing Muslim. And I think, let me confess here, when I got here, I saw leadership. I saw leadership from Bishop Gideon. Yes, as a Muslim, seriously, I was a bit flabbergasted. And I was amazed that we have leaders. So, Bishop, keep the good works. Let me also say something to correlate to what Pastor Mensa Otabil is just sharing with us. There's a verse in the Holy Quran which goes like this. It's the opening of the Holy Quran. We call it Surah Al-Fatiha. It says, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise and thanks be to Allah, the Lord of the universe. Ya Allah, you alone worship. You alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those on whom you bestowed your grace, not the path of those who have gone astray. I can say confidently, from what I've seen and what I'm hearing and what I'm learning as a Muslim, there's a huge correlation between the teachings in Christendom and the teachings in Islam. At the end of the day, is the impartation and also those who are ready to serve and work. Reverend, on daily basis, one of your sayings that has also cultivated me today in all humility, I'm a PhD candidate in law, is the saying that no matter what prison you are in, nobody can prison the power of what? Imagination. I tried to locate you at Kanda because I was told there's a family house there. On several occasions, I never met you. So when I saw the advert that today you appear here, I pray that God, don't kill me till I meet this man. Hello? Hello? And I think God has answered my prayers. And I'm meeting you. Even though I met your youngest brother, who was my senior in St. Thomas Aquinas, but he couldn't in any way interpret that statement that no matter what prison you are in, nobody can imprison the power of imagination. I thought that I was able to somehow expectate myself, and today I read political science. Later I went to read law. I did my LLM. Today I'm pursuing my PhD in law. I don't know. From what I've gathered and the sober reflection I had, I thought you're saying. Look at what the verse I quoted from the Old Quran really motivated me. Since you're here today, Pastor Dr. Mensa Otabil, Chancellor, Central University, leader, ICGC, please interpret this for me. Thank you very much.
So, Dr. Otabil was the president of the Republic of Nima. When he left, he became the president.
Well, you know, there was a Jewish philosopher, Viktor Frankl, who was imprisoned during the Second World War. During Nazi occupation, and he was in the concentration camps, and he says they were mistreated, naked, treated like animals. But in his prison, no matter how they treated them naked, beating them up, treating them just like subhumans, he would be in his prison and he would be able to think about life outside his prison and actually enjoy a new life, enjoy himself playing piano, imagine himself attending a concert, imagine himself sitting at a buffet, and he would be happy in the prison just by imagining that. And in that process, he discovered that the last freedom a man has is the freedom to imagine. And that is where that phrase came from, that no matter the prison you find yourself in, nobody can imprison the power of your imagination. And that's a very important thing, because everything we do starts with imagination. That means I am poor, I can imagine myself rich. I am illiterate, I can imagine myself educated. I can imagine myself doing well. I can imagine life beyond a tragedy, life beyond pain. The greatest, the most painful statement you can hear anybody make is when they say, I can't imagine. Have you some people say, I can't imagine being happy again. I can't imagine ever coming out of this situation. I can't imagine ever overcoming this problem. I can't imagine I will ever marry. I can't imagine I will ever. Once you can't imagine it, you have stopped life. Because wherever you are, you should be able to imagine something better than that. You should be able to imagine that. And no matter the difficulty, you should be able to imagine it. It is out of the imagination that you get motivation. And out of the motivation, you take action. The actions may not be big actions. It may be small actions. It may be tiny actions. It may be, maybe you are 30 years old, but you never went to school. But you imagine yourself as a lawyer, as our dear brother said, and you're 30. But once you can imagine, you can take the first step. You can start going to primary school at 30. And of course, it takes you 6 years in primary school. By 36, you finish primary school. You go to JHS, 3 years. 39, you finish JHS. You go to SHS. 42, you finish SHS. You go to university. 46, you go to law school. 2 years after that, 48, you are a lawyer. And it started from 30. Once you can imagine it, there is a path. There is a path. And the steps may be baby steps. It may be tiny steps. It's not a big, giant leap. It's just something small you do at the beginning, and then you keep adding to it. So the worst thing you can say to yourself is, I can't imagine. You have to imagine it, because that is how the progress starts. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Pastor Mensa Otabil. I'm a member of ICUC Christ and Praise, and I'm an ardent follower of your ministry from childhood up to now. And one question I have is capacity building. Like, as a young man, trying to figure out the life God has for you and the vision that you carry and stuff, I would like to know what you should do with the capacity, like what you should imbibe and to envision and manifest the glory of God and the purpose and the vision He has for your life. And I have one issue too, like I like computers and tech, and I would love to also be in ministry. So I've secured a scholarship to do computer science in an online university in America and stuff. So, like, I want to know, I want to marry theology and computers. So I want to know how to go about this and stuff.
You see the problem with multi-talent. All right. Capacity is diverse. You know, many times when we think of capacity, we're thinking of the capacity in terms of a skill set or academic capacity and so on. But for most people who do things, you realize sometimes the capacity you need is to stand when everything is falling. Is that ability to still stay when life is knocking you down, and stick with something. And that capacity, I think it's a very strong one to withstand pain, to withstand pressure, and keep going. You know, years ago I was preaching in one of our churches. I think it was in Akimoda, and this would be almost 40 or so, 35 years ago. And just when I started, you know, I wear 3-piece boo-boo. Just when I started preaching, I felt an ant biting me in my clothes. And you know, it's one of those things, you have to be processing a lot of things in your head. Should I stop and kill the ant? Should I tell the people, excuse me? And, but I said, you know, the ant is biting me, but nobody knows. Nobody knows if the ant is biting me. And the people didn't come here to determine how a pastor behaves when an ant bites. They came here because I need to preach to them. So it's a discomfort to me, and I have to, it's capacity. You have to have the mental discipline to say, I'll stay on course. So, you know, it's one of those things you preach, you feel like, okay, let me preach a 30-minute sermon. But I said, no, I came here to preach. Let me finish what I'm supposed to do, no matter what the ant does. So the ant had a field day on me that day, but I still finished my message. And afterwards, I went out and I killed it with a lot of conviction, with a very serious conviction. Now, that's capacity. Now, for you, it may not be an ant. It could be something else. It could be something trying to disrupt you. Sometimes it's a boyfriend. Sometimes it's a girlfriend. Sometimes it is cinema, going to watch cinema. Sometimes it's going to watch Manchester United. Sometimes it's going to watch UEFA finals. When you have a final exam, you have to determine which final you're going to focus on. So, at every point, we are on an assignment, and there is an ant biting you. There is something trying to draw your attention, something trying to make you cut short what you're doing. And you have to have the capacity, in spite of the inconvenience, to stay on track and finish what you set yourself to do. Now, in terms of whether he should do computer or theology, he can combine the two. Actually, we need computer literate theologians, so he can do both. But sometimes it's good not to do both at the same time. Finish one, and probably whilst you are working with one, you develop the other one.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. I'm Shadrach Mensa Kwesi. I've realized that the hidden tears of a leader is the joy of his followers. I want to ask this question. What has been your greatest challenge over the years and now, and how do you overcome them?
As I said earlier, I don't think in those terms. I deal with life as I'm confronting it. So I don't know what my greatest challenge is. Maybe my greatest challenge is myself. My weaknesses, my limitations. It's just trying to be a better version of myself every day, perfecting myself. And that probably is my greatest challenge, is how to be a better Mensa Otabil tomorrow than the Mensa Otabil today, or how to be a better Mensa Otabil next year than I am now. It's just constantly struggling with your own self Because your greatest enemy is not outside of you. Remember that. It's always inside of you. You fall to temptation not because of how bad the temptation is, but how weak your resolution is within you. What you are fighting is within you, not outside of you. So I don't really deal with challenge. Life is not, I see hardship as necessary for life. So it's nothing to me. It's just life. This is how things are. And I deal with it. If a mountain comes up, I deal with it. Whatever comes, I'm going to deal with it. So I don't have a greatest challenge. It's just I deal with life as it comes.
All right. Good morning. It seems the Mensas are taking over this morning. A local boy from Spintex, not from Nima. I'm really inspired this morning by what I've heard, and it's really bridging the gap between theory and practice. My question is quite straightforward. Visionary leadership, transformational leadership, are they mutually exclusive?
Well, it depends on, he is a textbook, he's a professor on leadership, so maybe he will be the best to define it. I think in the end, every leadership must be transformative. That the essence of a leader is that you are moving. The name itself showcases it. When you are leading, you are moving. You are moving. You can't be stationary and be leading. So a leader is constantly moving, but he's not moving alone. He's moving with people. And in moving with people, he's moving from one location to the other. It may not be a physical location. It can be emotional, it can be mental. But a leader is transformative because he's helping people change locations from where they are to where they hope to be, and subsequently, and so on and so forth. That's how I see leadership. It's transformative. Whatever form of leadership, transactional, whatever, everything ends up you being able to create transformation. So that's how I would interpret it. Visionary leadership is a kind of leadership with foresight, a kind of leadership that envisages, but it must end up transforming. It must end up making things better. So are they one and the same? I don't know. I just can describe them. We will decide whether they are one and the same. But I think leadership is always transformative.
Okay, so last round of questions, and then we will start getting the closing remarks from Dr. Otabil.
Thank you very much. I am Ayaba Bernard.
It means those of you at the back, you are not going to answer. That's what he meant by last round. It means if you are not in front of the mic, you have to go and sit down.
Sorry about that.
Then I'm the most blessed this morning. I am Ayaba Bernard. I'm from the University of Ghana Business School. I major in banking and finance. Once the pioneers have been able to build the staircase, the next gen come and they'll have to climb up. You need someone to hold you up the staircase. It's not an escalator. And even if it's an escalator, you are scared, so you need someone's guidance. But in reality, it has been built. But when you come to reality, there are people who have set barriers as the staircase preventing you from coming. When it's internship time, you're on vacation and you submit your internship, you feel like I can't start a bank. So let me find a place to gain a sense of purpose. You go there and the person who takes your internship letter gives you the demeanor that we won't call you back. So out of desperation, instead of a purpose, out of desperation, you start up a business confused because no one will employ you. Just internship. So I wonder, what about employment? they know you've been unemployed for a year now. To employ you, you need to bring 5 years' salary to be employed. So, in practice, the staircase has been built. Dr. Mensa Otabil is a good man. Everyone knows he's good, but the people around him, he doesn't know. The system around him is blocking people from finding purpose in the institution. How do we cope with that as the new generation who we are trying to find purpose in the institution?
It's called life.
You see why I said in the last set of questions?
It's called
Very
life.
powerful.
You see, life is life. And life will not be kind to anybody. And life will not help anybody. There is a great force that holds our planet together, and actually the whole universe together. A great force, the greatest force in the universe is called gravity. Gravity is what ensures that you can't go up, that everybody stays. If there was no gravity, we'll be floating in the air. Life has gravity. Just get it. Gravity is natural to human existence. Every force in this world is designed to keep you down. Moving up is not natural. If you think people will favor you, somebody will hold your hand. You have to learn to let your right hand hold your left hand. Because if you're going through life looking for favors, looking for kindness, looking for affirmation, looking for encouragement, looking for people who lift you up, this is the wrong planet for you. It's life. Hardship is life. Pain is life. Resistance is life. Difficulty is life. People who want to destroy you is life. It is not extraordinary. It is what people have been dealing with as human beings all their existence. Our ancestors, they used to go for war. Can you imagine? Every October or April, we have to go and fight. And you don't know whether you will come or not. That's what our ancestors were dealing with. You get up, today is dangerous against Ashantis, next is Ashantis against Gas, and they go to wars by calendar. Do you get me? The calendar is written, this season is war. After farming, when we have eaten our food, we go and fight. And people get killed. It's life. Don't romanticize your pain. Don't romanticize your challenges. And that's why I don't have this mentality of what's the difficult. It's life. That's what life is. Somebody will be born today, their parents will die the day they were born. Somebody will have an accident, his arm will be cut off. It's life. And nobody in life is going to say, oh, your one arm got cut, so we'll give you special dispensation. No, life will actually be more cruel to you because you lost your arm. You have to work 4 times harder. Somebody is born blind. You think people are going to say, because you are blind, or we'll give you special dispensation? No, you have to work 10 times harder as a blind man to survive. If you were born and you were deaf, you have to work 100 times harder to survive in this world. I had an uncle who was deaf. He became a journalist. We used to ask, so how could you become a journalist? But he became a journalist. He couldn't hear. And sometimes he would file the best reports. He could hear very faintly. And you have to scream for him to hear. So one day I asked him, so how do you do? He says, I go and I watch. I don't hear, but I watch how people are behaving and I report on behavior. And that's how I did my journalism. That's how he survived. Life is tough. So for the young generation, nobody will give you a chance. Give yourself a chance. If you're looking for helpers, you are on the wrong planet, because on this planet there is gravity. If you go to the moon, there is no gravity. You can go there and survive, but you'll be flying. Everybody will be flying in the air. But if you are here, there is gravity. Everything is going to try to pull you down. That is why rising up takes extra effort. And if you find somebody who gives you opportunity on this terra firma, you have to thank him. You have to thank him. But we have to deal with life. People will deal with things. People are born with polio. People are born crippled. People are born with spinal problems. People are born, they can't breathe. People have challenges. Just look at all that people are dealing with. And life, have you ever been walking and you saw somebody who is crippled and said, oh, let me give you opportunity, and lifted them up and walk? No, you just look at them and say bye-bye and move on. That's the same way people will leave you. They'll see how life is, they'll say bye-bye and move on. You have to determine to rise up and face your challenge.
Amazing. As I was listening to the young man, I thought, what a generation with a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
That somebody builds the stairs, the person must hold your hands to climb. And that if you took a letter to a place for internship, it was supposed to be automatic that you got it. But like Doc has rightly said, things don't happen to you, you have to happen to things. And it's very important that you keep that in the back.
Yeah.
25 years ago, I was a squatter living across the street. No water, no electricity, no toilet facilities. Today, I'm hosting Dr. Otabil at the University of Gold Coast. That belongs to me. And I tell you, whilst I got some steps, nobody held my hands to climb. I had to do whatever I could to get to where I am now. And I believe that we all can, especially when you have the platform. Dr. Otabil has said initially that when we started, that they didn't have, when they started, they didn't have people they looked up to. But today we have opportunities to be here and to listen to them, to watch them, to read their books, etc., etc. And I think this generation, you have a better chance of doing 10 times what Dr. Otabil and his contemporaries did. Because the opportunities are bigger and wider. You have access to internet as well. God bless. So I think the last two questions, Dr. Otabil will conclude, then we pray before we leave.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Priscilla Samari, and I have two questions to ask. Please, would you advise a Christian to go into politics? Because there is a mindset that politicians are corrupt, they are wicked, or they have self-interest. So what's your take on that? And the next question I would like to ask is, you made mention of multiple skills or talent, which certain times or most often people miss the point or are not able to make good decisions based on that. But there are certain times that having multiple skills are God-given talent. So how would you be able to navigate or integrate such skills when you are multi-talented? Thank you very much.
Well, I think I've answered those questions, but I'll answer them for the last time. First of all, should a Christian go into politics? Why not? If that's what you want to do, go. People say it's corrupt. Don't be corrupt. Let's go. So just do it right. People sometimes find themselves able to do a lot of things. And we all grew up with people. They play good football. They are good in school. They are in the good drama team. They act well. They are in the school choir. They sing well. They seem to know how to do everything. My own study is normally when people are like that, we cheer them when they are children. They are the fans in childhood. They are the heroes of childhood. But in adulthood, life becomes difficult. That's why I advise, if you can do so many things, your critical skill you need to develop is discipline. And self-discipline is very difficult, so you need somebody to discipline you. Either an organization or somebody who regiments your life so you can prioritize. Because it can be, I've known people who are extremely talented who have found life very difficult. Purely because they can't settle on what to do. And they do touch and go, touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. So that's my advice for you. So if you find yourself, and I'm not saying it's wrong to be multi-talented. No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it comes with a lot of challenges. And the key is discipline. And you need, if you can apply it yourself, God bless you. If not, work in a place where you can be regimented, or get somebody who helps you to stay focused and stay on track. Don't trust yourself too much, because your natural instinct will be always moving around. That will be your natural instinct. So that's my advice. You may take it or not take it. It's not a law, but it's my advice. So, last question.
So, Bishop, thank you so very much for this platform. And Doc, as far as 2004, well, my name is Bismarck Selali Lawson. I am one of the sought-after MCs, event host in the Volta region as I speak.
That's a good one.
Doc, where I was in 2004 when I started listening to you and running to watch you in the evening on Sundays, and standing here today before you to even ask you a question, I think today will go into history as one of the greatest days of my life. I know and it's good I'm the last person asking question. The circumstances around my life, in the village, the situation in which I was at the time, and then finding myself here and saying one of the sought-after MCs in the Volta region should paint the picture of who you have been in the life of people you never imagined existed. So, thank you for living your life in a way that we also, who had no one, no parent, and some way, somehow, we are here today. Thank you. I gave my life to Christ. I've been through many stages of Bible school. I'm arriving at the question, please. I have been serving in the kingdom. And because I'm vocal, I'm able to teach, preach. I do my own personal stuff of talking to young people about Christ. Doc, at what point can I say I am now called to start a ministry of my own?
Okay.
Or is it at what point you say that regardless of all these potentials that you do, things you do in the kingdom, you cannot pioneer your own ministry? And you as a father, how have you stayed relevant from as far back, like I mentioned, when I came to meet you in 2004? You remain relevant till today. What has been your training model that took you to remain relevant to this level?
Thank you.
And Doc, my brother from the Volta region, he was the one behind me before, but he couldn't ask question. But he is one of the young people leading the conversation of ICT and also children's safety, cybersecurity issues in the Volta region. Please, Desmond, can we see you?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
He talks so much, I've forgotten the question. But I think it was a question on, is it when to start his ministry? Or
how to stay relevant.
How to stay relevant and then start his ministry. You have to love what you do. And you have to be a slave to what you do. Although we say we are masters, we are actually slaves. We respond to the demands of what we do. So if you're going to be relevant, you have to stay always ahead of time. And there are many ways to do that. The first is that you have to have a hunger that is never satisfied. You have to have that in you. If you get impressed with yourself, you would stop being better. Because the day you say, I have made it, would probably be the day you lose everything. So although people may see you as great, you must never see yourself as people see you. You must always see yourself in your own eyes as small. It's one of the secrets of David. He saw himself in his own eyes as small. I mean, of course, he was king and he was all of that, but he never saw himself big. Once you see yourself big, you're on a spiral down, because what drives us is hunger. And what destroys us is satisfaction. When the drive to hunt, to go and be better, dies, you can't achieve anything. You know, it's like a lion who is satisfied. He's eating an antelope. Another one can come and play with him. He will not go and hunt because he's okay. He's been satisfied. And one of the things I've noticed in our part of the world is people get satisfied very, very easily. Because most of the time, our ambitions in life are very competitive. They are based on our competition with something or somebody. I want to be like this. I want to be like that. The day I get a car, I will drive it for them to see. I will marry and let them see the woman I married. I will marry to see the man. Everything is competitive. It has no lasting desire. So the moment you achieve something, that's about it. I have never gone to preach at this time. I've been preaching for about 50 years. I have never gone to preach when I'm not anxious. I'm always anxious when I'm going to preach. I'm always stressed when I'm going to preach. I'm always under pressure. And I've been doing this for 50 and I preach consistently. I've never gone to say, oh, I know how to do it. I'm preaching Sunday. It's on my head. And most people who know me, rarely do I go out on a Saturday. Because I've never felt comfortable as a preacher. I always feel, make sure you don't go and blow it. Don't go and mess up. Don't go and say something stupid. Don't go and, it's always at the back of my head. And I have refused to be impressed with myself. And I've refused to be happy with myself. I tell people I don't listen to myself because I hate it when I listen to myself. People like listening to me, but anytime I listen to myself, I'm going to start correcting mistakes. Why did you say that? Or why didn't you? Why? You made the wrong point. I'm constantly in that mode. Never impressed with myself. And I cultivate that. So, I hold my own bag because I don't want to feel like a powerful person. I like to do things to remind me you are still Mensa Otabil, you are still the same person, and you still have to work on yourself, and you still have to be a better person. I have to remind myself of that constantly. So, how do I stay relevant? That's my attitude to life. You may be impressed with me, I'm not impressed with me. And because of that, of course, things like reading and exposing your mind and learning new skills and so on and so forth, those are the technical things you have to do. But what drives it is a dissatisfaction inside of you that stays after 20, 30, 40, 50 years. If you can have that for the next 60 years, you'll be relevant for 60 years. When should the greatest MC in the Volta region start his church? That is if starting your church is what you have to do. Being called does not mean go and start a church. I don't know, maybe because I'm a church founder, people may not take it. I would really wish people don't start churches. And the reason I say that is people's capacity to pastor in one church, in one location, is about a 4 to 5 year capacity. That means when you start pastoring the same congregation, ask any pastor, after 5 years, your greatest struggle is what should I do again? Because everything you have to do, you've done it. You've preached all the sermons. You've done everything. So what do you do on the 6th year, the 7th year? The greatest challenge, and I've seen people's ability to stay fresh, is probably a 5-year period. And after that, they need something else to shape them. So if you're going to pastor a church, then plant a church or found a church, it means you are ready to stay in the same place with the same people for a very long time. If you can't do that, move on and just go to some church and tell them, every 5 years transfer me, because my sermons are finished in these churches. Transfer me every 5 years. I need a new challenge. I need a new congregation. I need something to drive me, because staying in the same place can really hold you back. So I think that is both my concluding statements and concluding.